Good afternoon. Thank you for attending today. I'm going to make a few brief remarks, 10 minutes or so, and then we'll open it up for question and answers after that. So I want to take this opportunity to speak to you, our community, about the recent reported sexual assaults involving UM students. During these brief comments and the following question and answer period, I'll communicate as directly and openly as I'm able, recognizing that I must respect certain bounds of confidentiality mandated by the fact that we're a university and these are students that we're talking about. I will first speak to the facts as we know them, our approach to date, and actions that we are taking to make the university a safer place for our students. I welcome your questions and comments during the question and answer period, but I have to say that I won't go into more detail about the investigation itself beyond what I say in my remarks. Nor will I discuss any particular students. I will address questions about our process, policy, services we offer, and education relevant to sexual assault. So although I can't give you specific results of the investigation, I want you to know that we take this matter seriously, that we are following a well-defined protocol, and that we are concerned for the welfare of all of our students. So here are the facts that I can share. On December 5th and 6th, 2 female students reported to an employee that they had been assaulted. These reported assaults took place as 2 separate events in the months of November and December. Both of these events were immediately reported upward from the employee, and the employee met with me to inform me on the next morning. I consulted with Lucy France, Director of Equal Opportunity and Affirmative Action, and she is the person who oversees our obligations to Title IX, which is the set of federal laws that apply in such matters. Lucy immediately met with the employee and with both female students. I assembled a group that began meeting almost daily. The group included Lucy, Charles Couture, our Dean of Students, David Aronofsky, our University Legal Counsel, Jim Foley, our Vice President for External Relations. That day, we contacted Gary Taylor, Director of Public Safety at the university, during that initial meeting to make sure that he was fully informed and directed him to make contact with the Missoula Police Department, which he did. On December 13th, we agreed to contract with an outside person to assist in our investigation. That individual, as many of you know, is Diane Bars, a highly regarded member of our legal system here in Montana. Our investigative team then is made up of Diane Bars, Lucy France, and Charles Couture. As a university, we are legally obligated through Title IX to conduct our own investigation, regardless of the involvement of law enforcement. The Missoula Police Department makes its own determination as to whether to begin an investigation based on information at their disposal. In addition, because of allegations that drugs may have been involved in these incidents, federal law enforcement has possible jurisdiction, and we have been in communication with them as well. Our investigation continues aggressively. The team interviewed 30 people before the holiday break, after which access to witnesses has been somewhat hindered, but is moving forward full speed now in these coming days. Diane Bars provided a report to me on December 31st, which we made public, and she will provide the next report near the end of January. As of today, we are not in a position to identify specific individuals as perpetrators, but when we do so, and if we do so, we will take every action available to us through our Student Conduct Code and, if applicable, the Student Athlete Conduct Code. So I want to send the message to you that within a matter of days of the reports from these 2 students, the students had access to our Sexual Assault Resource Center, which I'll speak more about. All relevant law enforcement was notified. All appropriate notification within the university had occurred, and our own investigation was underway. Again, I want you to know that we have taken these reports extremely seriously, and we will continue to do so. The Student Conduct Code covers a wide range of behaviors and actions. When a student allegedly violates our code, that student is called before our Dean of Students, Charles Couture. The dean investigates the matter and puts into effect an appropriate sanction. The student may appeal to the university court, which makes a recommendation to me as president. We have had a few other events this past fall that have invoked the Student Conduct Code, some of them public and some of them not. I will tell you that in every case that you have heard of publicly, and in those cases that you have not heard about, the Student Conduct Code was applied, and where applicable, sanctions for students, and where applicable, sanctions for any student athletes involved were also put in place. My message here to you is that when we have appropriate evidence, we implement our conduct code swiftly and decisively. 3 other reports of sexual assaults have surfaced during the course of this investigation, reportedly occurring approximately a year ago. They came to our attention only recently, and we have incorporated them into our investigation. These cases call for a discussion about certain aspects of reporting. The first aspect involves the role of SARC, the Sexual Assault Resource Center. Because SARC is a part of Curry Health Center, which is a recognized healthcare organization, it is designed to be a free and confidential resource to students who think they have been subjected to sexual assault. We obviously want students to make use of SARC, and the promise of confidentiality without the requirement for reporting encourages them to do so. We have an excellent staff at SARC, and they are experienced in working with students who need assistance. SARC personnel can and do refer students to other resources, such as healthcare on or off campus, counseling, support groups, and law enforcement, including both UM Public Safety and the Missoula Police Department. SARC communicates to victims that if the victim wants to pursue an investigation, those avenues are available to do so. However, the student must make the choice to do so. SARC cannot report the event further without the student initiating the report, and students are told that when they come into SARC. One of the cases involved a female student who went to the police somewhat over a year ago reporting sexual assault. We have no indication at this time that she reported to anyone on our campus. As we understand it, the police did not have sufficient evidence to take action, but an officer did report to a campus employee that an incident had occurred and allegedly involved some of our students. The campus employee did not report the incident to the supervisor. This is the gap in reporting pointed out by our investigator, Diane Bars. While it should have been reported up the line, no additional action could have been taken without the female herself reporting the incident to us. To be clear, thorough reporting is critical to ensuring that the student has appropriate access to care and to law enforcement. In this case, law enforcement had clearly been involved already. As you will hear momentarily, we are adjusting our procedures to strengthen our reporting protocols. Let me turn now to some additional actions that we are taking to make the campus a safer place and to improve our coordination in such instances. Last week, I issued a memorandum to my cabinet with several assignments. Those assignments include: A, campus education. We will accelerate our campus education programming regarding sexual assault. Beginning with spring semester, we will blanket the campus with educational material, making sure we reach all students, faculty, and staff. The educational program must make use of existing campus resources, such as SARC, and should include written material, presentations, and discussions. The message should be at least threefold. 1, sexual assault is intolerable at the university, and we will do everything in our power to remove assaulters from our learning environment. 2, excellent resources are available on campus to assist victims of sexual assault, and we have a dedicated staff ready to help. 3, we are all responsible to take actions to prevent sexual assault. All education should emphasize the risks associated with alcohol consumption and the misuse of drugs. The responsible person for this educational upgrade is Teresa Branch, our Vice President for Student Affairs, and it will be in place by the beginning of spring semester. The second area that we will address is our expectations and standards. All incoming students should be given the message directly that sexual assault has no place in our society, especially on a university campus. It will not be tolerated. That message must be integrated even more strongly into our orientation sessions for all incoming students, undergraduate and graduate. Because our student athletes play a special role as ambassadors for the university, the expectations for behavior on and off the playing field, in and out of season, must be defined more clearly. I am directing a review of our practices and standards in that regard, with Jim O'Day heading that review. I expect the review to involve coaching staff, the Faculty Athletic Council, the Faculty Athletic Representative, and the Student Athletic Council, in addition to any other groups or individuals appropriate to the discussion. To be clear, we do not know that recent sexual assaults have been restricted to the student athlete population, but our investigations have indicated an association with patterns of behavior of a small number of student athletes. We simply will not tolerate the tarnishing of the proud tradition of Grizzly athletics. Jim O'Day and Teresa Branch are the responsible persons. The deadline for that review is February 28th. Third area that we will work on is protocol. When students do find themselves in a legal situation, we need clarity on the role of the university. Particular matters relate to the accompanying of students to legal representation, communication with law enforcement, communication within the university, communication with the media, and communication to the Office of the Commissioner. We must conduct a review of existing policies and practices and articulate more clearly any necessary changes. This review should include instituting a monthly sexual assault report that is delivered directly to me as president. The responsible persons to review this protocol are Jim Foley and David Aronofsky. The deadline for that review is February 28th. In closing, it is our intent, first and foremost, to make sure our campus is the safe and supportive environment needed to foster learning, personal growth, and the fulfillment of dreams. Next, it is our intent to deal with these terrible incidents in a manner that supports the victims and that identifies and punishes the assaulters. Finally, it is our intent to communicate as effectively as we can with the campus and with our community within the limitations of confidentiality that we have as a university. We do have a strong system in place for addressing sexual assault, and I want to publicly thank everyone at the university who has been involved in this matter and those who are involved on a daily basis with victims of sexual assault. I particularly want to say that our students are, as a group, dedicated to the university and respectful of one another. We will not allow the actions of a few to ruin the experience or tarnish the reputation of the rest of us. Thank you for your attention and for your support. I'll now ask any questions or comments that you might have. I may call upon some others in helping to answer those questions. One moment, please. There are microphones, and so if you want to ask or speak, would you raise your hand and someone will bring a microphone to you, and then please state your question and then we'll address it as best we can. So.
I would like to speak.
Okay.
My name is Ian White. I've been a social worker in Missoula for over 20 years. I'm presently retired. I think we're glossing over the issue. The issue is football. I'm not anti-sports. I played basketball for many years. I'm involved. I have 4 kids. I support them in their. Can people hear me?
Yeah.
I support them in their efforts. I'm pro sports, but there's an imbalance here. You talked about sexual assault, but we're talking about gang rape. There's a difference. I mean, you didn't want to talk about names, but the Donaldson issue is one thing which is reprehensible, but much different than drugging a young woman and then gang raping. That's That's a much different thing. I think what we're talking about here is an imbalance in the university. Football makes money, right? Correct?
Football,
Does it make money for the university?
well, football nets out, yes, football makes money for football. The net revenue from football goes into the other athletic programs. So the athletic program as a whole does not make money.
It makes money, and I think there's a protection of the football players. There's entitlement. Again, I don't have anything against athletics, but I think there's an imbalance in the system that a university should be for education. I have 4 kids, one who just entered university, Middlebury College. She was offered a full scholarship at the University of Montana, and I wouldn't consider it just because of this violence issue. This has been an ongoing, there's been ongoing criminal activity over the years regarding football players. And I think you have to consider what the priorities are, what the balance is. You know, putting $1 million into lights at the football stadium when that could go to the library. You know,
I need you to get to your question, please.
Huh?
I need you to get to your question, please.
Well, I'm asking you to respond to what I'm saying.
Okay. My opinion is that athletics is a...
Why are you taking that away from me?
Do you want me to respond?
What I'm saying is the situation is out of balance. Okay? All this criminal activity is happening primarily with football players. And as I said, I'm a social worker. Rape is not an issue of sex. And you can spread all that information around, but it's an issue of power. As I said, I'm a trained social worker. I know about this stuff. It's an issue of power. And when you give too much power and entitlement to certain people, then they abuse it. And I think that's what's happening.
Okay, can I respond, please? Yeah. Okay. I have to respectfully disagree that this is an issue of football and power. Programs around the country, including our own, have operated student athletics for years. It's a healthy part of the university in an overall sense. If there is evidence that we find leading to football players or any other student at the university, then we will take appropriate action. To conclude that football is the root of these problems, I think, is just not correct.
But what percentage of criminal activity has been attributed to football players versus other colleges? In other words, I understand that you emailed all the students about that streaker incident at the football game. Okay, which was, do you understand what I'm talking about?
I understand what you're talking about.
That was obnoxious, but in comparison, fairly innocuous. And there has been no communication. I've talked to students. There's been no communication about any of this.
Well, that's just not true. We sent out an email to the entire student body the day after we got the report about this, and we've sent out all campus emails on 2 occasions since then, so that's simply not true. Let me go to the next question so other people have an opportunity. Yes, Diane.
Thank you, first of all, for holding this. I think it's important, a lot of these issues. I've been around for decades. I was involved in starting the first sexual assault group, so I know the long history of this. But I want to particularly ask a question to you, Mr. President, and take advantage of the fact that our new Commissioner of Higher Education is here, because this is not an issue that is just specific to the University of Montana. And I think the reviews that you're undertaking are really important, and I want to find out if these are going to happen system-wide across the state of Montana, because I think it's critical that this happen throughout the university system. Thank you.
Thank you. I can only speak for the University of Montana, Missoula in this matter. We do have, at the upcoming Regents meeting this week, time on the agenda to discuss the matter, and at that point, the Regents may well decide that something system-wide is needed. I don't know the answer to that until we have that discussion. I don't know, Commissioner Christian, if you want to comment?
What you said is exactly right. Since this sort of come to light, the next regular scheduled board meeting is this Thursday. And it is the first item on our agenda to get a report from President Engstrom. And once that report has, once we've received it, we absolutely will have that discussion at the board level. And I think there will be, I mean, I wouldn't say there'll be a system-wide review, but I think it will start the process to us to look internally and see if the right precautions are in place across the system. I think the third item of President Engstrom's bullet points here this afternoon that outline a higher level of education throughout the system and awareness is certainly something that we can take system-wide. And so as it has with other situations similar, it certainly will cause us to look at where we can benefit the system based on individual campus reports. And I know I've already heard some comments that as soon as the investigation is concluded, and as soon as President Engstrom has some real definite direction to go for this campus, that we will try to see if that fits into a broader system-wide approach. So it will start that process, and we'll just see where it goes from there.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. My name's Chris Thompson. I recently came back from off coast Afghanistan, and in the Navy, we have what is called sexual assault responsive preventive training. And after speaking with Officer Thomas Johnson of Public Safety and the outreach coordinator at SARC, talking with them about the possibility of a class to increase awareness on preventing victims or people, because most crimes include use of alcohol or drugs, to help them increase awareness to scenarios of vulnerability. Because in most scenarios, if a person has the proper training, they can most likely discern how to effectively combat scenarios of vulnerability, such as like going out with multiple people, not going out alone. Most crimes, statistics for the U of M, it was 65% for the offender was involving alcohol. The victim was 43 or 45%, and that's taught in sociology with criminology because I'm a criminology student at the U of M. And I gave a persuasive speech in our COM 111 class, and it was on the ways to combat, potential ways to combat rape and sexual assault. And at the end of it, the whole class agreed that the use of a class to raise awareness would effectively help combat by training people. And then talking with Officer Thomas Johnson, he said, we need a draw card to gain potential interest into these classes. So similar to like our health programs where you get 1 credit, it would be nice to see maybe a class where we could potentially gain 1 credit, like a gimme credit for the students, but at the same time increase orientation, like freshman orientation. Maybe this class can be taught annually or a credit just of option. But I think it would be a huge addition to either comm majors or sociology majors in being trained in this and having academic credit for it. What would be your thoughts on that, sir? Thank you.
Well, thanks very much for that constructive comment. And I think Vice President Branch, I don't know where you back here, who's in charge of the educational program, will take that to heart. And that may well be one of the components of an enhanced educational program that we have in place. So I appreciate that a lot. And if you have any more specific thoughts on that, I would invite you to actually email them to Vice President Branch and get that discussion started. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. My name is John Meyer. Just a concerned citizen. I think your education, I'm with you in the sense that a good offense is the best. The best defense is a good offense. Excuse me. What do you think you could do to change the culture on campus, which seems to me it is fairly sexual It's not fairly. It's very permissive to all types of sexual activity.
Well, thanks for the question. I don't know that there's any particular evidence that our campus is any different than most college campuses. I think you would agree with that. In fact, our annual reporting that we do on campus safety in general has been a pretty positive report for us in recent years. And in fact, we are one of the safer campuses when you look at overall statistics. Nonetheless, your point is a good one, that we need to educate as forcefully and as proactively as we can about the consequences of all types of behavior. And again, I think that is paramount to getting started with students the day they set foot on campus, even before, during orientation and so on, and just immersing our campus in a culture of healthy activity and safe activity. We're not starting from zero in this by any means. We have a very active orientation program in the summer in place already for incoming students. SARC and other groups on campus conduct ongoing educational programs of all types, and so we have a good base to start from. But we clearly need to strengthen that base. And so education, I think, is, in the long run, the key to what we need to do with our campus here. No, I'm gonna call on someone else first.
Okay, I'm just saying that sexual permissiveness is not the issue.
I have a question about a specific, the article, a specific.
Sir, we have other people who want to speak, and I request you to behave politely and let them speak.
I have a question about a specific question about the article, and it was in Sunday's paper. And this is about the woman that was apparently raped about a year ago. And she states, according to the article, she blacked out at a coffee shop. And then she ended up waking up at a campus dorm and found out she had bruises and was raped. She also stated that she had a male escort with her at the time she blacked out. And then she goes on to say that the individual, the guy that she was with, gave evasive answers and contradictory answers to questions. And I was just wondering about a follow-up on this, an investigative follow-up. Obviously, this is something that needs to be investigated further.
Yes, thank you very much. And I will say that incident came to our attention essentially the other day, and our investigative team is incorporating that incident into the overall plan and will be pursuing that as aggressively as they can. I'm not going to comment on any of the specifics in the article, but just to tell you that is a part of our investigation as of the time we found out about it.
In response to that article as well, I was just wondering, not so much about specifics, but I realize under Title IX that Curry, once someone reports something, they can't take it further because of confidentiality and whatnot. But I was wondering what the protocol is for that. If someone reports the sexual assault at Curry, are they then made aware of the SARC program and all of their other options from there, or are they taken in and cared for and then sent on their way? I just don't really know the protocol for that, so I was wondering if you could speak to it.
Yes, thank you. If a student comes into Curry or directly to SARC, if they come into Curry with this because of this kind of an incident, then yes, they're referred to SARC. When they're in SARC, they are treated as best as can be, with the information that what's going on here in Sark is confidential. If you want to pursue this in some other mechanism, then here are the avenues to do that. University of Montana, campus security, Missoula Police Department, or student conduct code. And so they are told that. It's in writing, and that is given to the students. So again, it sounds kind of unfair, but the whole point of Sark is to have a safe haven for people to come in and get the attention they need, whether that's health care, counseling, or just comfort. If Sark was set up in a way that automatically required reporting, we would be very concerned that people wouldn't make use of Sark at all. So it's a very deliberate setup that Sark is confidential, and the students then have the option, and they're clearly told that, of pursuing it in other ways. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Chantel Gaynor. As I've listened to the process that you've laid out, it sounds like within the university there's many things that you're going to be investigating, and you've tasked a number of people to come up with new policies and protocols. Are you going to be integrating the expertise within the community outside of the university to help augment decisions and the planning process? I'm thinking specifically of First Step, YWCA, Crime Victim Advocate Program, the other programs, and folks in the town who work on domestic violence and sexual violence programs, policy, and issues.
Thank you. We would very much appreciate help from any group in the community. And if you or someone is interested and able to provide that help, if we don't contact you, please contact us. You can send it directly to me if you want to, and I'll make sure you get in touch with the right people. So we would welcome that kind of community involvement a great deal. Thank you.
I was just wondering what you're going to do to make sure that the educational campaign does not create an atmosphere that blames the victims for, say, going out and drinking. So I was just wondering what you'd make sure that this is seen as an issue, even if the woman has been drinking or something like that.
Yes, thank you. There is no excuse for sexual assault, regardless of the condition of the victim. And so the educational program needs to start with the message that sexual assault is not tolerated in our society. It is an evil thing, and perpetrators will be dealt with as forcefully as we possibly can. That's the first message that we need to send out, that it is simply not acceptable to be a perpetrator of sexual assault under any conditions, any conditions. In addition, when I talked about education, I do want to make sure that we all of us take responsibility for the safety of ourselves and for the people around us. And so our educational program will address that as well. But in no way am I or any of us at the university saying there is any situation where the victim is at fault, that this should have happened to the victim. So I want to be very clear about that.
As a follow-up to that question, there seems to be in the papers a number of concerning reports of women being unfairly treated by the police, and some reports going out that are inaccurate about false reporting, stuff like that. I'm wondering what the collaboration the university is going to have with the Missoula Police Department. There's been a number of disconcerting remarks about women not having a good experience, not only in the university, such as at the Curry Health Center, but also with the Police Department of Missoula. So what is the university doing to collaborate with those community organizations, and in specific, the Police Department?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Well, first I want to say that I believe we have good open communication between the university and the Missoula Police Department. We have a good working relationship there. Can we improve our communication? Certainly. Can we improve the coordination of reporting? We certainly can, and I think that that's something that we will have to work on as well. We're ready and interested in sitting down with the Missoula Police Department to do everything we can from both sides to make it a safer environment, and when things go wrong, to do the best job we can of handling those things. We've had informal conversations recently, of course, during this series of things, but that is a part really of that protocol section that I indicated that we need to work on, that protocol being communication with the police department and other law enforcement authorities. So that's something that we will be taking a hard look at. And I know, well, I can't speak for the Missoula Police Department, but I think I can. I know that they're very interested in doing everything they can to work with us, and so I really appreciate their help and support. So let's continue to build that relationship. There's a question way in the back.
It's more of a response to the woman that asked about SARC earlier. First of all, I would like to say that anyone that thinks that this problem is limited to campus is sadly mistaken. This is a problem in Missoula and has been for some time. I have used the urgent care at Curry Health Center. As soon as they thought that there was even a question to what may have happened to me, I was offered a representative from SARC, an advocate to be with me through the entire medical procedures or anything that I chose to do. Before they did anything, I was referred to an agency called First Step that is more used to or more experienced in collecting evidence and do it in different forms. When I chose not to go to First Step, they proceeded with me at urgent care. I was given tons of information on SARC, tons of information on how to report, where to report. I was offered an advocate to help me report. I think what the university is doing and what they have going on right now is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So what you've got going on at the Curry Health Center is very helpful. As for the reporting, it's a HIPAA thing. If you go to a doctor, you go to a medical place, they can't release that information without your permission. I was offered to be able to release the information so they could report for me, or I was offered to have an advocate to come with me to report. So I just want you to know that they are doing a good job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that comment.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the university will be holding a similar question and answer type forum for students when spring semester starts up next week.
So I've scheduled actually a forum the afternoon of January 25th, 3:30 or I can't remember the exact time, but an email will be going out with that information. It was originally scheduled to be a mid-year update of things going on campus in a general sense, and we'll still do some of that, but we will also take time to talk about these issues as well. In addition to that, we'd be delighted to work with ASUM or any other student group to begin setting up even more discussion groups and forums throughout the semester and in an ongoing sense. I think one thing that is clear is that this is something that we have to discuss very intently in an ongoing way. We're not going to solve this problem by having one or two forums at the beginning of this next semester. It's got to be an ongoing, intensive, intrusive kind of dialogue. Thank you.
Just wondering if the team of folks who are creating the educational materials includes students who may have a firsthand experience or may be able to offer insight on what the activities and where the gaps are, not necessarily in the university system, but just where they need more information. And I know you have a great team of folks put together right now, but I would just encourage a voice from the students creating those materials.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I wanted Vice President Branch to give me an active plan that would go into effect this spring semester, and that has been happening over the past couple of weeks during the time when students are gone. So students haven't been directly involved in this particular initiative, but certainly when the spring semester starts and we have the ongoing discussion about educational programming, we will look to students to be actively involved. I appreciate your offer there. And again, we'll work with President Gursky through ASUM to see that that happens.
Education has been mentioned repeatedly, and historically, on a wider scale, education has been about how not to be a victim. I was wondering how this campaign could contribute to information on how not to be a perpetrator, like education about consent.
Great question, and that was, in fact, the first point of the 3 in the educational program, is about the perpetrator side of this. I know that Vice President Branch has already been looking at various organizations that can come to campus that address that. One that we talked about earlier today is something called Men Can Stop Rape. It's a group that can come in and do exactly what you're saying, and so they are very much on our list of options to bring in. I don't know that that's the only group, but that's an example of one that we will either bring in that group or one like it to have a good high visibility series of events on campus to address exactly that point. Let me see if anyone else have a question?
My name is Darla Seaman. I have a 20-year-old daughter that goes to school here, and to say the least, it was very upsetting to read that article on Sunday, and I think you have done a beautiful job to put me at ease. And hearing your story also helped, but I would like to address just a little bit. I think that we need to give them a chance to really address this. This is the first time that the community, the university, and hopefully the police department have come together. Mentioning the perpetrators, that's absolutely beautiful. But then my other question was, somebody had said to that child in that article, roofie, they were trying to warn her and she didn't understand or know. Somebody knows about this crime and they're holding back. Do we have any kind of a hotline that we can encourage somebody? I mean, if we had a hotline that somebody could call 24/7 with any kind of tips about anything that's happening right now or anybody that's holding drugs in this manner, if we could set up something that the students could man on volunteer basis 24/7 on anything that they know about a previous crime or anybody holding drugs, I think that we should consider a hotline.
Okay.
And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Is it still live? I don't know if it's on or not, but we have a semi-hotline, I would say right now, and that is Lucy France. Lucy is the person in charge of gathering information, along with Charles Couture and Diane Bars. But anybody with any information about these events, please contact Lucy and give her that information. That would be most helpful to us. One thing I will say is there are many rumors out on the streets about these events and other events as well in our community. If possible, we need to convert those rumors into evidence. And so if you know something or you're hearing something or you think you know something, let's take the step of converting that into evidence by contacting Lucy France. Lucy, do you have a phone number that I can?
243-5710. And if you Google up equal opportunity at the University of Montana or go to the president's website, there's a report form. It can be anonymous. You can put your name if you want. You can just email me. You can set up a fake Hotmail and I'll look into everything.
Right, but if somebody didn't have to go to the trouble of looking it up, I'm saying if these numbers were posted around campus and you kind of know where to go look for those numbers, and it was something that the students could feel comfortable not sharing with their friends if they knew something. I'm just saying that if there was a number that all the students knew about, it was given in the orientations, and it was something that they could have, yeah, in the hall of the dorms, just everywhere.
Okay, we will take this step. we will put on our web page, on the front page of our website, a number to call with information about this event. We actually do have a 24-hour line within the Curry Health Center now, and that can easily serve as the hotline for what you're talking about. It says crisis counseling is available by calling the crisis line, available 24 hours, 243-6559. So we'll put that number up there boldly on our website, and we'll also put Lucy's number, 243-5710, up there as well, so that people can access those readily. And we'll do as you say. We have, with Vice President Branch's efforts to blanket the campus with information, we'll make sure that those posters have those numbers on them and that they are all over campus. Thank you.
There's Crime Stoppers in Missoula as well, which is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week direct, anonymous tip line to the police department.
I think in the absence of any other number that you might have access to, if you think you have something related to this, call 911 and have them direct it to the appropriate place. I mean, all else fails, call 911 and say, I have information that I think is important or relevant to these cases.
Public safety also has a number, I believe it's 243-6143 or 6130. And 6130 is Sergeant Ladman's and public safety's number, but if you have evidence, you can call them as well. We're more than happy to help. In response to the 3 outline initiatives you were talking about, what we need to spread with awareness, SARC Outreach Coordinator Megan Sullivan was very supportive in saying that it would be awesome to have a class. I just want to say the students would like it. A lot of the SARC people would like to see that too, from what I talked to when I hear people from the speech. And even public safety said that would be awesome, but it comes down to the student body and faculty to initiate that. But our goal is to help spread awareness to decrease sexual assault.
Okay, any other questions? Did you want to make another question? Did you have a question? Okay.
Well, I think I will. I think this term sexual assault is, we're talking gang rape here. Okay, so let's not gloss over that. And I think it's your responsibility to keep people off the campus that are capable of that activity. And once again, I think the sports program is out of control. What happens is people come in from other states, and living in Montana is a different thing than living in Compton or Oakland or wherever. And this is where a lot of the problems come up. And I think that I want to ask you a question. How much does Coach Pflugrad make?
Coach Pflugrad's salary and every other salary at the university is public information. You can go look that up. I can't quote you a number off the top of my head, but you can go look that up. It's public information. And I will just respond by saying
significantly more than what professors make, and that's my fault. Is that not correct?
That's not correct. No, you are overgeneralizing, sir, and I'd be happy about that. Just in final response, I will say we're working hard to keep sexual assaulters off our campus, regardless of who they are, where they come from. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, if there's one last question, we would entertain that. Otherwise, I will say for coming, and I appreciate your, was there another question? Oh, Jen?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Gursky, and I'm the president of the Associated Students of the University of Montana. I think it's important to address that all of the students are our students, whether they come from Oakland or whether they come from Circle. And I think it's really important that we create avenues for our women and men to feel supported. I think that there's been a lot of light shed upon some really grievous acts that we need to be proactive about. But the thing is that at this point, we need to be proactive. No matter what geographic, ethnic, or racial background these students have. It's not about sexism, it's not about racism, and it's certainly not about socioeconomic status. As students, we stand behind the President's comments today. We have been involved in conversations, and we are excited is too big of a word, but looking for opportunities to move our campus, all 15,000 of us, forward.
Someone in the back, I think, had a question. Did I hear?
I was just going to make a statement. My name is Charles Burton, and I'm a. You all hear me? I'm a student athlete or former athlete at the University of Montana, and just to respond to make it clear that no one amongst the student athletic population is favored in any way. We all receive the same kind of punishment that any other regular student that's not involved in athletics receives. I still receive parking tickets just like a student who's not involved in athletics. Things of that nature. So there is no way in shape or form that we are favored. We have had, unfortunately, we've had athletes arrested, and it's been put out in the news. And like, there's no way, shape, or form that we are, in fact, favored in any sort of way. So just to make that, put you all at ease with that, just to make that clear for everyone here tonight.
Thanks, Charles, for that comment. With that, let me just close by thanking you for being here. Again, if you have either knowledge about these cases, please get that information to us. If you want to be involved in our educational programming and making the campus a safer place, please let us know that as well. Thank you so much for being here today.